Shanti, how are you all? In the recent headlines, we've been constantly seeing about the gruesome killing of uh, Shraddha by her own lover Aaftab. It is believed they met each other while they were working together in a call center and they fell in love with each other since they belonged to different religion, Aaftab being a Muslim and Shraddha being a Hindu. Her parents did not consent to this relationship. So Shraddha decided to leave her home and started living with Aaftab in Maharashtra. But after a year or so, they moved to Delhi. Uh, 1 year after she was living together with Aaftab, she called her parents and complained that he is actually physically abusing her a lot. She also shared the same information with some of her close friends. In addition to her close friends' guidance for her to leave the relationship, even she said that she really wanted to come out of the relationship, but she could not because she feels that he loves her more. And also, he threatened to commit suicide if she leave him. So all of a sudden, her friends could no longer reach her. That is when they got suspicious and they contacted her brother, and he along with his father lodged a complaint in Maharashtra. To their surprise, the phone signal was in New Delhi, so they lodged another complaint in Delhi police station as well. That is when Aaftab got arrested, and when inquired, he was actually uh, trying to fool the police by saying she left him and even he wanted to find her. So, but after further inquiry, he accepted that he indeed killed her. He actually uh, was actually having fight with her for years, and uh, he had a plan to murder her even a week before actually murdering her. So it seems he was well prepared for murdering her at the correct situation. So on the day of murder, she was having fight with him and he strangled her. He actually bought a saw from a local shop and he used the saw to cut her body into 35 pieces and put it in 18 plastic bags, and he bought a new refrigerator exclusively for this using the money from Shraddha's bank account, which is really so embarrassing. So he had her body parts in the refrigerator, but what's really shocking is he used some dating app and brought many of his girlfriends and had sex with them just in the same room where the dead body of his lover is placed in the refrigerator. And also, he actually visited a hospital for some injuries while cutting the body parts, and the doctor confessed that he seemed very restless. Actually, Aaftab was clearly hiding everything in the beginning, and slowly he is revealing one by one. And recently, he has revealed that after killing her, he used to open the refrigerator, and on seeing her dead body, especially the skull part, he would speak for hours. And also he recently confessed that he was in affair with 20 more girls, which is also a reason for the frequent fights between the couple. It seems Shraddha forces Aaftab to marry her, but whenever she comes with that point of getting married, he gets really mad at her and start fighting with her and many times hitting her. And also he reveals he got the skill of cutting the meat into tiny pieces while he was a chef. In the middle of the night, he would drive in a vehicle with a packet of the cut body part, and he would just discard it in the middle of a jungle. So it took him 18 days to discard those 18 packets. So he googled to find the appropriate chemical that is needed to remove the stains from his home and refrigerator. And he used to lit many incense sticks to avoid the bad odor to spread into the neighborhood. Even during police inquiry, it seems he has absolutely no regret for the murder. Just 2 weeks before, a gruesome murder happened in Kerala where a girl was poisoning her own boyfriend by mixing poison in a fruit juice and made him drink that. The reason was she was attracted to another person whom her parents found for her to get married, and she was afraid whether her lover would be the obstacle for that, so he wanted to kill her and she achieved that. But in this particular incident of Shraddha's murder, it seems it is the guy's addiction to sex and drug that forms the basis for this murder. So it's been the trend nowadays among the youths to have affairs with multiple partners at the same time. This particular murder is just a caution for those who want to walk on that road. Your addiction to be intoxicated, being in an affair will definitely have its grave consequences. Whenever a person is attracted to somebody, the first thing they lose is the peace of mind. So whatever decision they take when their mind is peaceless and restless, obviously that decision is going to be 100% wrong. That is the main reason for picking up wrong partners. That is why in the Western countries they have this system of dating for a while without getting attracted. So it will go for a week or more. Then if they are interested, they will exchange numbers and they will try to understand each other, and after few months they will propose. So after few months, if they still find no problem, if there is no compatibility issue, then they will look forward to take the next step, which is moving together. Even then they are not committed, they are not married, they just want to see if that's the right person for them by living with them. So most of the time they live together without sex. So if that goes well for few months, then they will want to have sex together without getting committed, because you cannot act for a longer period of time. So the moment you are very close, your true colors will reveal itself. especially after having sex, you may get bored, or your instinct to have multiple partners will surface. So that's how you will find whether the other person is good for you or not. So they have really long time to conclude whether that person is the best fit for them. So during this course of time, they will look out for any toxic behavior, any cheating behavior, which is really crucial, because in Bible it is mentioned the only ground for divorce should be the promiscuity. Because if you have promiscuous nature, then it is really hard for anyone to predict how your behavior is going to change. So this particular incident is a good example for that. When you have no control over your mind to stick with a single partner, then you are going to make really wrong decisions throughout your life. That's going to screw up not only your life but also the one who wants to spend his or her life with you. It is very essential for you to choose the partner when you are in 100% peaceful state. So that is something you can never achieve when you are sexually attracted to the other person, because there you are not peaceful, your mind is peaceless. After being together for a while, obviously you will lose sexual attraction to the other person. That is when you will find the character of the other person to be a real problem for you. If you know for sure that your mind has no discipline to stay with a single partner, then it is better never to get committed in any relationship. It is only when you conquer lust altogether after marriage one can lead a happy married life, or else it's going to be a big mess for both of you involved. If you find your partner to have this promiscuous nature, it is better to leave him right away, because you can never predict his or her next move. Actually, addiction to lust opens the door for other vices such as anger, greed, attachment, and ego to pop up. That is how you are punished for all your past sinful karmas. So that is why God says in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that lust is the #1 enemy of humans. What happens when someone is exposed to lust in the first place is he loses his control over the mind. That is why his mind continuously produces lustful thoughts. So what actually happens is your mind is actually losing its strength very fastly. So you wouldn't know about the dangerous consequences of it until you are confronting some adverse situations. So when you are confronting anger provoking situation, then you will see you will be bursting into anger, which was not something that happened in your past, because your mind has become so weak that you could have no control over your mind in producing so negative thoughts. So this gradually escalates into some deadly behavior, like this particular incident that ended in a murder. It is because Shraddha became addicted to the lust for Aaftab that she is not able to think very clearly, so she ended up taking more and more bad decisions that she could never get out of. The reason she shared with her friend that she wanted to get out of the relationship but she could not is because she lacked the ability to take firm decision, which is actually the consequence of the addiction to lust. On the other hand, Aaftab, he is more addicted to lust with multiple affairs, so he is constantly intoxicated either with alcohol or with sex. He has absolutely no control over his mind, so even a small trigger makes him to burst into anything, which resulted in him beating his spouse. But girls usually mistake this violent behavior to be a symbol of love, to be a symbol of possessiveness, which they were yearning for. Because usually after such violent behavior, they are going to cry, they are going to make romance to make them feel that it is only because of love that he behaved in such a way, and girls will be very much pleased and they would happily forget what happened until the same thing happens soon after that. The main reason people turn to addiction towards drugs or sex is because they are not really happy with what they do. So it is essential that we must know why people turn to addiction in the first place. So it is our mind's duty to keep us happy all the time, and by us I mean the soul, which is imperishable. It is the soul that sees through the eyes, listens through the ears, performs everything using this body, and this soul is eternal. And soul is an intrinsic part, the mind is an intrinsic part of the soul. 5,000 years before, while this earth was heaven, we were so blissful all the time, mainly because we were not attracted to anything outside us. Instead, our concentration will be fully towards ourselves, which is the soul. So that is the reason we experienced blissfulness continuously, because the true nature of the soul itself is peacefulness and blissfulness. So since we are constantly aware that we are the soul, and we are also aware that the ones we are interacting with are also souls, we will not be distracted by the external appearance. So that is the main reason we did not have any negative or waste thoughts. So we won't be thinking unnecessarily. We will be thinking only when it is necessary. That is the reason we remained happy throughout, and this world was actually heaven. It was filled with everything that one needs to stay happy all the time. Despite that, we are not attracted to them. So the reason is we were just focusing within ourselves all the time naturally. So that continued to be the case for the first 2500 years when the world was heaven. After that, this world slowly becomes hell, mainly because we were no longer soul conscious. Instead, we considered ourselves to be the soul, but now we can no longer experience pleasure from within. So our mind start creating thoughts to make the soul happy by focusing on the things outside us. That's how we start becoming slowly addicted to everything that is around us. So whenever we get bored with what we are doing, our mind starts producing the thoughts that makes us happy. So that's how we start focusing on things external to us. But we will not be happy all the time with just the things that we were initially attracted to. So we need a larger dose of attraction for us to stay happy. That's how we become addicted to the things that's going to be more and more addictive, and finally we end up in things that's related to sex, which is going to be the most addictive. So that happens at the end of this 5000 year time cycle. So that is now, that is the last 100 years of Kali Yuga. That is when God himself comes and says lust is the biggest enemy, because of which you have lost everything that I have given you 5000 years back. So once you become addicted to lust, there is absolutely no turning back. So that's going to extend for longer and longer period of time. You will be more and more interested, that is related to sex. So whenever you get bored, you will start having sexual thoughts. So the reason you are getting sexual thoughts all the time is because you are not interested in anything you do nowadays, because our mind has become so weak that it will become happy only by sexual thoughts. As I mentioned earlier, the more you get addicted to sexual thoughts, your mind will have no control over its thoughts. So whenever you are faced with some adverse situations, you will be very shocked to find that your mind keeps on producing negative thoughts to the extent that you will commit some criminal activities like murder or committing suicide, or you will become mentally impaired person. So your level of addiction to sex is directly proportional to the amount of negative thoughts your mind produces. So how do you come out of that addiction so that you don't find yourself being trapped in such deadly circumstances? So God reveals the secret. It took us 2500 years to reach the place where we are now, for our mind to become so weak, because we've been consuming so negative thoughts, whether it's lust, anger, greed, attachment, or ego. So our mind is so filled with those vicious thoughts that we have absolutely no control over our mind. So now it is essential to get rid of all those thoughts. How is it possible? By imbibing positive thoughts all the time, as much as possible, without leaving a second in between. And also you need to close all the doors through which the negative thoughts come from outside. So you should stop listening, seeing, hearing whatever that happens around you, because it is going to induce negative thoughts within you. And now you need to instill positive thoughts within you continuously. Where do we go for positive thoughts? Because anything that is related to lust, anger, greed, attachment, or ego are negative. So if you look closely, we don't produce thoughts other than these 5 vices. So obviously we are creating nothing but negative thoughts. So only positive thoughts that one can rely on positively is the knowledge of God. That is why God himself from his supreme abode comes to this planet Earth just 100 years before the destruction of this old world, which is also called Kali Yuga. He enters an old man's body and starts giving these teachings called Murli, which is available absolutely free of cost in all Brahmakumaris Rajog meditation centers that is spread across the globe. You can also find the Murli in all languages in many websites and YouTubes. I'll be giving the links of some of them in the description below this video. Please make use of that, because that is the only knowledge given by God, who is also only one. He is called Shiva by Hindus, Allah by Muslims, Heavenly Godfather by Christians. And the essence of his teachings is to consider ourselves to be souls again, that is distinct from this body, And we need to remember the heavenly godfather Shiva, who is also your soul that shines like a tiny star in the golden red colored light world. So we need to remember God like a star that shines in the golden red colored sky. So we need to constantly see Him, visualize Him in the mind while we are doing any work. That is how you give absolutely no chance for anything negative to enter your mind anymore. So by keeping our mind busy in remembrance of God and also busy in remembrance of the knowledge points given by God in the form of Murli, one's mind becomes free of all the negative thoughts and becomes as pure as God Himself. So it depends on the amount of effort one puts. So staying away from friends and relatives who speak about sex all the time, and staying away from the songs, movies that instills sexual thoughts in you is the first step in purifying yourselves. So it is essential to wake up as early as 4 o'clock in the morning and start reading Murli, because that's when your subconscious mind opens up and start giving you weird dreams. So if you're able to wake up at that particular time and start reading Murli, you are going to instill those positive thoughts directly into your subconscious mind, so that not only the negatives get out of your mind, but also the positive things are going to be imbibed so deeply. So if you are able to keep your mind busy with the knowledge points throughout the day, I'm damn sure you will not be tempted to any sexual attractions. But it is when you are not sincere about making this effort that your mind starts wandering outside and becomes weak gradually, that ends up finally you craving for something sexual at the end of the day. And also listening to Murli daily, and also by practicing soul consciousness and by remembering God all the time, you will find yourself being peaceful all the time, no matter what happens around you. Obviously, our past karma is going to bring person that is going to be very challenging to you in front of you. Nonetheless, if you are able to remember God and His knowledge, you will find yourself unshakable in the middle of the storm of Maya. If you are able to conquer lust, that's going to save you from all your past sinful karmas. Because it is only when you get triggered by lust, this time you will be punished for all your past sins of your past birth. So it is by conquering that lust you are escaping from the consequences of all your past sins of your past births. So that is the smartest thing to do, right? If you find yourself producing negative thoughts for whatever reason, so quickly grab Murli, start reading it, go to a lonely place and start remembering God as a point of light. You will find yourself becoming peaceful within a matter of minutes. That's quite essential. If you pay no attention to this, then you will find yourself in a deadly situation very soon. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching. Please share this with your friends and relatives, because everybody needs it. Because everybody has Maya within us that will explode any time at the slightest trigger. So kill that Maya before it kills you. Thanks for watching.